What's going on, Dolphins? It is your boy Dillon, and so today is day 5 of training camp. It is the 4th day of on-field stuff, and then we have 2 days off. They won't come back to practice until Tuesday, but that will be padded practice. They're going to start pads next week, so we'll start to be able to get, a better look at this team, especially, in the trenches and stuff like that. But before I start, let me just say that, I was doing some thinking yesterday, and, I know I want to apologize because I am going to make myself into a little bit of a liar here. And what I mean by that is the past couple days I was saying that I'm not going to really do, the play-by-plays and stuff of camp because, it's to me, it's just contextual data that gets stored in a little chest or whatever to be pulled out later for, preseason games. But I realized I'm not doing y'all a service by not giving you guys that information, and I have to keep things in full context and make sure you guys have the full context. So I am going to do that. However, I tried to find some news and notes. Let me see. Actually, I might be able to get Alan Poupar. He might have put something out. Let's see. I don't know. I'm trying to find. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so I am gonna give you Alan. So what I was gonna say is because unfortunately, I'm broke all the time. I don't really have resources. All my finances are really, taken up. I'm kind of at my financial limit. So unfortunately, I can't really afford to get, subscriptions to the Sun Sentinel or, whatever. What's the other one? The Miami Herald. So I'm not really going to be able to give you, the observations from those writers. But I should be able to at least give you Alan Poupar's, because he just posts his on Twitter, and the Sports Illustrated articles I can get to without having to pay for it. So I am going to start giving you some of the news and notes. I may not be doing, exact play-by-plays, but I am going to give you that because it is important to make sure that you guys have that stuff. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it because today is day 5, their 4th day of on-field. So let me give you his news and notes, and then I'll give you some commentary as we go along. Highlights, lowlights, and observations from the 4th practice, day 5 of Miami Dolphins training camp. Fans were at practice for the first time since 2019, and Christian Wilkins was the first player to walk toward to acknowledge their presence and get them pumped up. So obviously, an exciting day for fans getting out there for the first time to see practice live. And there were definitely, especially during some of the clips and stuff that were put out by the Dolphins, you could hear them cheering and so on and so forth. So it was a good day for them. Tua went up and had some time with them, talked to them or whatever. So that's cool for fans. And they put on a good show too, right? They put on a good show, had another good practice. For me, like I said, I'm kind of indifferent to it. I don't get super excited in large part because it doesn't necessarily mean that the season is going to go that way. They obviously have to carry that into next week, into padded practices, and then they have to carry that into the preseason games, and then finally into the season. So there's that. And then also, I've just been burned a lot in my life, so I like to prepare for the worst and hope for the best and be surprised rather than disappointed. So, I temper my emotions, and I don't try and read too much into anything, whether it be good or bad. I just let it pile up in my little chest of contextual data that I will use when we get to the season or to the preseason, and because that's when I'll be able to actually put my eyes on the team and see, if what's coming out of training camp is real or fugazi, right? So let's see. It was pretty much a full house at Baptist Health Training Complex. Fans were at practice for the first times. He totally wrote this in there twice. So that's just a repeat. Tua Tagovailoa then walked toward the stands and spoke to the fans, thanking them for their support and reminding them to stay hydrated. Good for you, kid. Pass on good lessons to everybody. Tight end Mike Gesicki missed practice with what was termed a medical issue. I don't know if that means that he was hurt, or is he sick? I don't know. We don't really, from what I've seen, there isn't really a lot of clarity on that. So we'll have to wait and see what that means. But, you know, and like I said, for me, one of the biggest concerns up to this point in camp is the injuries. Obviously the Xavier Howard situation, which he actually spoke today too. And real quick, let me just talk about that, because the next line here is Xavier Howard returned to practice. He did individual drills, but he didn't do any of the team stuff. And he did have an interview today, and you know, my evaluation of that interview is, to sum it up, that nothing, that you know, he's still trying to have talks with them, that they are apparently having some talks, but the Miami Dolphins really aren't budging, and no progress has really been made, whether it's been, you know, his talks with the organization or whether it was his talks with Flores. And he just kept reiterating that, you know, he's here, and it's on the Dolphins. It's on the Dolphins to do something. The ball is in their court. So we'll see what they do. Well, you know, we'll have to wait and see what it is that they do. Yeah, so there's that. Let's see. Jalen Phillips and Will Fuller were the only active players to sit out practice with injuries. Both of them are day-to-day, according to Flores. So real quick, let's actually kind of recap some of the injuries. Obviously, Preston Williams was put on the PUP list on day 1, so that takes away one of our receivers. Devontae Parker was put on PUP shortly after and has not yet come back, although he seems to be fine, so hopefully he'll come back next week. Jakeem Grant was injured briefly but came back the very next day. Will Fuller has, went out pretty early and still hasn't come back with what appears to be a day-to-day thing. Let's see. Larnell Coleman was originally put on the COVID list but has since come off and is now practicing with the team again. DJ Fluker is currently on injured reserve, which is concerning. So, and that's the thing, right, is a lot of these injuries are coming at the offensive line and particularly at wide receiver. And so that does concern me, but it is good that, you know, some of these other wide receivers are stepping up in camp to fill those roles. But then Jalen Phillips, right, I think it was yesterday he came off the field. He did not participate in the second half of practice, and apparently he had a sleeve on his leg today. So that's concerning to me, especially because he's supposed to be, a key piece on this defense this year, especially if we are to lose X for whatever reason, or even if he is on the team but just doesn't really play and just, has a nagging injury all season. I don't know. I mean, so we'll see. Like I said, one of my biggest concerns to this point in training camp is the injuries. So we'll have to wait and see how they play out. And hopefully things only get better in that regard and not worse, right? As the offseason continues, as we get into the preseason, and then obviously, especially as we get into the season. Practice opened with a 3-on-3 goal line drill with Tagovailoa throwing a short touchdown pass to running back Myles Gaskin. Later in that drill, cornerback Terrell Bonds intercepted Reed Sinnett. Jamal Perry later stepped in front of a Tua pass near the sideline and intercepted Tua. To start 11-11, the offensive line had Austin Jackson at left tackle, Liam Eichenberg at left guard, Michael Dieter at center, Robert Hunt at right guard, and Jesse Davis at right tackle. Let's also note, though, that they did switch the offensive line up quite a bit today from all accounts, and the accounts have been up to this point that the offensive line has been Austin Jackson, Solomon Kidley, Michael Dieter, Robert Hunt, and then Liam Eichenberg at right guard. Now, a couple things, and, I was actually just on Reason's show again, the open panel portion, and we talked about this, and Reason had mentioned in his in just his portion of the show that while you shouldn't read too much into it, and perhaps they're just moving guys around and to get them experience and so on and so forth or whatever, but what he said is especially since we overpaid to get Liam Eichenberg, since we moved up to get him and gave away some future draft capital, he would not be okay with them, with him just becoming a guard and, you know, not winning the role at right tackle because, you know, it doesn't really say good things, unfortunately, especially when you could have had other guys like Penei Sewell and Tevin Jenkins and whatever. And frankly, too, we also talked about this, Michael Dieter being at center. That doesn't really... look, it doesn't really excite me. That's what I said on his show or whatever. It just doesn't really excite me, and it doesn't really give me a ton of confidence because apparently Cameron, Tom, and Skura can't even beat out Dieter. And Dieter, I mean, look, you know, and they're kind of talking him up a little bit or whatever this offseason, but, I mean, until he shows me something in games and proves that he can actually do it, Dieter has been, as far as I'm concerned, pretty trash to this point in his career. And I think he's going to prove to be a miss at the end of the day. And so the fact that he's starting at center definitely does worry me. And I hope by the time that they get to, you know, the Patriots game in week 1, they have to have that offensive line settled for sure and who their starting 5 is going to be. I would like to see them decide on a starting 5 even before the first preseason game, because I would like to see them. First of all, I want to know who is expected to be out there week 1 of the regular season, so I can get, you know, it, you know, kind of settled in my head, so I can start to evaluate. But then also because I want to be able to see them in the preseason together, let them have some opportunity to, you know, gain some chemistry, cohesion, develop their communication, and so on and so forth. And so, you know, that no matter what, that offensive line is going to be, my focus is going to be on that offensive line, right? When it comes to the offense, my focus on the defense is going to simultaneously be the secondary and the front 7, because, I mean, one, they're obviously just, you know, very much tied to each other, but also because of the way this whole X thing is developing, you know, it changes a lot. You know, if X is in there, I'm going to worry about the secondary less for sure, but if he's not in there, then it changes things up quite a bit. And then I definitely do have even more significant concerns than I would if X was in there. All right. Linebacker Brennan Scarlett punched the ball away from Lynn Bowden Jr. after a short reception in team drills, and Brandon Jones recovered. Obviously, it was a fumble. Malcolm Perry and Lynn Bowden Jr. joined Jalen Waddle and Jakeem Grant in fielding punts. As I've told you guys a million times, I hate that Waddle's... I get his potential in the return game. I get that. But you have Malcolm Perry, Lynn Bowden, Jakeem Grant, Noah. There's a ton of guys that you could potentially use back there. And even guys like Jakeem Grant's one of the best returners in the league. So even if you only kept him around as a returner and, you know, just depth on the fucking, in the receiver room, I would personally prefer that than them using Jalen Waddle back there. Because I'm scared that he's going to get hurt playing, you know, a punt or return, or a punt, or just a return, right? A punt or kickoff return. Probably less likely on a kickoff return these days, honestly, if we're keeping it real. But I just don't want them using him back there. But they are, so it is what it is. And knock on wood, whatever, hopefully he stays healthy and nothing happens. Robert Foster, again, made a nice diving catch of a Tua pass on the first play of a team passing drill. There were no linemen there. It was just three on three, I believe. Foster has been really, really impressive since the spring. Justin Coleman came up with a nice pass breakup against Waddle on the third play. Rookie Javon Holland dropped an interception right into his hands on a pass down the middle. I think that was from Tua. Foster came up limping after making yet another catch. He was back on the field after a few plays. Tua had a 20-yard completion down the middle to Waddle, who went down to make a sliding catch in 11-on-11. Christian Wilkins got to Brissett quickly on a pass play. Adam Shaheen made a nice leaping catch of a Tua pass on a play where there was a lot of pressure and the quarterback held the ball for a long time. And I think there were a few times today where there would have been would-be sacks because of how long Tua held the ball. I think that was one of them. Linebacker Brendan Scarlett had a would-be sack against Tua. Jesse, again, didn't participate in full practice, ending the session with a baseball hat on. Rookie, so Jesse Davis, I'm guessing. Rookie Larnell Coleman took over for Davis at right tackle with the first O-line. Tua threw a beautiful pass down the middle, right over. So that's obviously a different, yet another change to that offensive line lineup. Tua threw a beautiful pass down the middle, right over a leaping Byron Jones, right to Albert Wilson for what would have been a long touchdown. That was the best throw of the day. Tua came back shortly thereafter with a long completion down the right sideline to who else? Robert Foster. Rookie tight end Hunter Long came up with a nice diving catch of a pass from Brissett. Jakeem Grant made a spectacular leaping catch on a 30-yard Brissett pass when he jumped in front of cornerback Trill Williams. Scarlett had another would-be sack against Tua at the start of another 11-on-11 drill. Wilkins had another nice play in 11-on-11s when he got through the line and batted down a pass from Brissett. Andrew Van Ginkel. So it looks like Wilkins actually taking a lot of second-team reps. Let's see. And, you know, one of the big stories is that Kirk Merritt has been elevated from third team to second team. Andrew Van Ginkel would have had a would-be sack against Tua on another 11-11 play. Tua came back with a strike down the middle to Isaiah Ford against tight coverage by Justin Coleman. And Vince Beagle shot through the line to meet Salvan Ahmed in the backfield on a running play. So there you go. That's Alan Pupar's news and notes and observations from day 5 of training camp. You know, I will try and see if I can find the interview with Xavier Howard. I will try and find that, and if I can find that, I will also put that in my video somewhere so you can, you know, see it for yourself and make, you know, your own observations and evaluations. But yeah, other than that though, I mean, it seems like it was a pretty good day. Like I said, unfortunately, I don't have subscriptions to the Sun Sentinel and Miami Herald, and unfortunately I'm poor as fuck, so I probably won't. But maybe I can try and find a way to you know, I don't know, switch things up around in my finances. I mean, like I said, they're all pretty much tied up. So I'll see if I can try and get, but you know, I am going to try and up my game a little bit here and be better. I mean, I used to do stuff like that. I used to give you guys this stuff, and I need to, because I mean, at the end of the day, I pride myself on, you know, being a full context guy and stuff like that. So anyway, with that, you know, it was another good day of practice. Hopefully that momentum can and progress can be carried into next week with pads. Hopefully we continue to hear good things. And like I said, man, I'm just taking all of this, you know, with a tempered approach, a, you know, even-keeled approach, and an indifferent approach. I'm taking all of this information, I'm stuffing it into my little box, my little crate, until our first preseason game comes up, which, look, again, things are just going to keep ramping up. Next week is padded practices, the start of padded practices. The following week, we have our joint practices with the Chicago Bears before we play our first preseason game against the Chicago Bears. Also, I'm gonna be honest. You know, normally I do live stream for the games and stuff, but I'm going to keep it real with you guys, since I don't really have much of a subscriber base or whatever, and I really just don't even hardly look. And to be clear, it's not that I don't appreciate the, you know, couple people that, you know, do jump up in there with me sometimes, but it, you know, not really much goes on. So I'm probably just going to join in on Reasons live stream. He's going to be doing a live stream for the first preseason game, so I will probably join in on that. And I'm just going to say, for right now, my decision to do live streams for the games and whatever is going to be determined. We'll see how things go, and so on and so forth. It's not that I don't want to do it, and it's not, again, that it's not that I don't appreciate the handful of people that jump up in there with me and stuff, but it's just, you know, I would personally like to be able to interact with more people and stuff like that and whatever. So I don't know, I'm gonna play it by ear. Things, you know, to be determined with that. But I think for now, for the first preseason game, I am going to probably just join in with Reason's live stream and follow along there. I'll obviously have the game up to myself, here, but I'll be watching along with him and joining in the discussions there with him and the community there. So just to let you guys know about that. But look, and to wrap this up, I want to say that, look, as harsh as I have been on this organization and this Dolphins team and so on and so forth, I'll say it again. It's not that I totally believe in Tua as a person and a player and so on and so forth. Obviously, his injury history is going to give me some concerns for the long term, but I definitely have faith in the player and the person. It's never been that for me. It's been, like I said, it's not the player or the person, it's the potion, right? So my biggest concerns for his success and the Dolphins' success, stem to, the development. I mean, don't get me wrong, he has to improve and play better, but he's also going to be, expected to be 100% healthy, and I think that's going to play a huge role in it. For him and his performance. But not only does he have to play better, right? The offensive line is going to be key. The running game, are the wide receivers going to stay healthy and then produce when they're on the field? And, is the defense still going to be dominant, and can they prevent themselves from taking a step back, especially if they end up losing Howard, right? So, I still have my reservations, my skepticisms and concerns for this team. But as usual, I will say that I hope that they prove me wrong. I want them to prove me wrong. And it is a brand new season. So, I'm excited, man. It's another year of Dolphins football, and I am excited. So let's get to it. I'm pumped that the season has started and that we are in the midst of training camp, and things should absolutely ramp up and just start to, really get going here as we continue along. And before long, we're going to be watching football games, Dolphins games. So I am pumped up for that, and I can't wait. And it's going to be good, even if God forbid the season doesn't turn out how we hope and want it to. I still got good feelings about the season just from a community standpoint, and because I feel, I don't know, like I feel good because at least I feel like I don't know. I feel like for, the first time in the past few years of me doing, my Dolphins channel, that I've, maybe even found myself a little bit of a niche community, so I'm not just totally kind of like on my own with this. So, and I'm speaking about, Reason and his show in that community. And again, one more time, much love and respect to TD and Doug and K-Flex and all them dudes, Tobin and Leroy and the guys on the Phins side, Kat and Paul. Like, respect and love to all those guys. I watch all those guys, right? Like, I'll watch videos from each of them, but Reason is the one that I feel most at home with, and it's been really good in recent days to be able to get on his panel. So shout out to him and appreciate him for, letting me on and bringing me on and getting to speak my piece and, say how I feel about this. About everything. And one more time, I've been one of the harshest critics, but I am excited. I'm ready to just get back to football and start getting some answers to the questions that we do have. So with that, I'm gonna get out of here. Hope you guys appreciate my perspective. If you do, make sure to hit the subscribe button, make sure to hit the like button, make sure to hit the bell if you want to get the alerts. Share my channel and videos with your friends and family. Leave questions, comments, and concerns down in the comment section. And of course, as always, follow me on Twitter at Dillon Tartaro. Excuse me. And with that, I am out. I'll see y'all soon. Fins up.